I'm guessing you've clicked on this video because you've been wanting to start a clothing brand. And lucky for you, I'm going to be breaking down everything I wish I knew before starting a brand in 2025. My name's Colin, also known as Feta, and I've been running a brand for around 4 years now with over $500,000 in sales. Now, throughout my journey, I've been learning a lot, especially because I've been doing it all pretty much by myself. That means I've kind of learned every single aspect from the ground up, which has been really helpful for teaching people the ins and outs of a clothing brand. All right, before this video starts, I did want to tell you I say some technical words, I would say. Not too technical, but if you have any questions, please leave them below. I would love to answer them and maybe even make a whole video on it. So, yeah. All right, let's get back into the video. Now, starting out, you need to get your intentions right with owning a clothing brand. If you're looking to just make some fast money, this isn't the right industry. I know a lot of people online just say that you can make a lot of money fast, but that's just like really not true. It takes a long time to develop a quality brand, and usually you don't get lucky with your first drop. It's really important to understand that you need to have passion in your products to be successful in this industry. All right, now that you're fully committed to starting a clothing brand, the first thing you need to look at is your profit margins. Even before ordering your first sample from your manufacturer, you need to understand what unit price you're getting your inventory at. Now, this can be really important because let's say you're producing a hoodie and your unit price is $30 and then you sell that hoodie for $40. It's really hard to make any profit. What I like to do is break down each one of my unit costs in an Excel spreadsheet, which also helps me understand where all my money's going. Now, a lot of brands have a target markup around 60 to 70%, but when you're starting out, this is kind of unrealistic. Now, once you figure out what you're putting towards marketing and then also shipping costs, because those are going up every single day, I would try to aim for around 30% profit. Now, this will grow in the future, but why we're keeping it low is because you're trying to grow a community, and keeping a low profit margin, even 20%, will help you grow that community. Now, there's many things that will affect your profit margin. A great example is the tariffs that have been happening. Now, I haven't had that much issues with the tariffs, but I know people who have had to stop production because that's just eating up all their margins. I think tariffs are a great example of roadblocks you might have when starting a clothing brand, and it's really important to not just stop when those happen. One of the biggest things I learned from tariffs was to diversify my manufacturing. So now I have manufacturers in Mexico, India, and China, which China is still my main supplier. So tariffs, yes, they did affect a lot of businesses because I'm only doing 200, 300 unit bulk orders. It's really not affecting me that much. All right, this next thing is really important, and not a lot of brand owners do it properly, which is reinvesting your money. Now, we all know that a lot of people do pre-orders because they don't have the money up front to pay for the bulk inventory. Now, that might be an okay thing, but it's also really important to have money left over once you order the bulk inventory. This could be to put money towards more marketing like ads, but I also think you should have a lot of money saved so you can invest in future samples and then also just developing your brand. Saving your profits is also important because of taxes at the end of the year. I've heard a lot of stories about brand owners not saving for taxes, and then you have a giant tax bill and you don't really know what to do. So I would say for taxes, at least save 50% of whatever you're making just on the safe side, and then also save another 20% to reinvest into your brand, which could be samples, but also like bulk inventory if you don't want to just do pre-orders. All right, I'm gonna talk about samples for just 1 second, but you want your samples to be perfect. I've had a lot of samples that haven't turned out exactly what I've wanted and released them, and I'm just not happy with the end result. A lot of samples take 3 to 5 renditions before they are perfect, and you just want to perfect your sample because if you're ordering 100, 200 units, you don't want all those units to not be perfect because you just didn't take your time on the sample. All right, now I'm gonna get into kind of the reasons why I'm still running a clothing brand, even though I love the product development side and marketing the clothes that I produce. But also the freedom of owning your own business is, I would say, the biggest pro to owning a clothing brand. And what I mean by that is you can work on your own time and kind of there is no limit to how much you make. While in a normal 9 to 5, you're getting paid a flat fee usually. to be there. And it's like a lot of the times I don't think it's worth my time. So I would say the biggest pro to owning a clothing brand is you can kind of just work on your own time and make your own hours. I guess this could also be a con because it is your own effort, your own creativity that drives your income. But for me, I love putting in the most effort and kind of working with my creativity every single day. Now, another thing I've struggled with, especially this past year, is planning drops out throughout the whole year. A lot of the times I will produce one sample and then figure out how to drop that one sample. But what I should have been doing was producing 5 samples and figuring out which one to drop next month and then which one to drop in 3 months. It's really important to plan out your drops pretty much for the next 6 months because of how long it takes to produce samples and then also produce the bulk. If you want consistent income with your brand, you really need to be working on at least 5 samples a month. Now, it will start out slow, especially because you don't have that much money to invest. And if you do have that much money to invest, there is a learning curve to ordering samples and ordering bulk. But once you get it down, you just need to keep up the momentum. Now, speaking of keeping up the momentum, you need to be posting on social media all the time. And when I mean all the time, I mean you should be making at least 3 posts per day for your brand. I like to post it on my story a lot, but that's just my preference. A lot of people post a lot of just straight up Instagram posts, but I don't like to muddy my Instagram feed. But also, I post a lot of organic TikToks. Now, why I like TikTok is it kind of pushes it out to a very specific crowd that will engage with your posts. I've learned on Instagram Reels, you can get a lot of views on Reels, but usually they're not converting as much to sales. While on TikTok, you can kind of post just your generic product and it will get sales. Another thing I think is really important for brand owners to understand is kind of what they want to portray with their brand. You really want to connect the products you release to the style of your brand. And I can break this down in another video because it really will take me a long time to explain. But you really want your style to match. This is because you want to build a community around your brand. And if you're releasing kind of just any product, it's really hard to build a solid community. Think of it like this. Have you ever scrolled on Instagram and seen a really cool product, but then once you go to the Instagram page, they don't show that product anywhere and you kind of just scroll away? Well, that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. With the system I've built out, it's really trying to connect the products with your Instagram page and also TikTok page, but also just including it all in your brand. So then once you click on the Instagram, you see other products that you might like, which will get you to buy a lot quicker. Now, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go over in this video, but if you have any questions and want me to break down things even further, let me know. And also hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to grow this channel.